Sidwell number 0931476-012. The applicant is seeking two variances from the zoning ordinance number 78, zoned R1, Article 27, Section 27.02A8. Number one, a 540 square foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of detached accessory buildings of 900 square feet to build a 720 square foot carport in addition to a 720 square foot detached garage for a total of 1,440 square feet. Number two, a 540 square foot variance above the maximum floor area for all accessory buildings of 1,300 square feet to build a 720 square foot carport in addition to the existing 720 square foot detached garage and an existing 400 square foot attached garage for a total of 1,840 square feet. So is there anyone here to speak to this matter? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, I'm Myra Martinez.
I didn't butcher your name. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we've kind of read what you're seeking here, and
Test, 1, 2, 3.
tell us a little bit
Test.
about why, a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, so the variance that we're seeking, it's to
You
essentially
guys hear
add
me
a
okay?
carport.
All right, great. We're
next
using the
to
mic here
our
tonight, something a little bit
detached
different we haven't had a
garage.
chance
The
to do before.
purpose of that carport would
We'll get
be
started.
to store and keep on,
I'm calling the meeting to
better
order. It's 7
environmental
o'clock.
conditions, recreational vehicles.
First, I'd like to introduce
that
myself.
we
My name's
have.
Mike Tomlinson. I've had a
We
chance to meet
currently cannot fit
one of you
those,
at one time or another of the
vehicles,
households. First of all,
within
we
our
greatly
current,
appreciate you being here.
enclosed garages.
We know
Moving
it's
to
important to
a
take some time out of your
open
day
carport,
to be here, so we really
style
value
of,
the opportunity for you to be here.
of
As
accessory.
we move through this, what I'd like to do here first is have our board
We've
introduce
tried,
themselves, and
over the
after we're
past-
done with
past
that,
winter to
individually,
use,
if we can introduce ourselves with maybe our
tent.
address, how long we've been part of the
didn't
community,
work due to
and maybe,
snow then
you know,
winter,
other people that may be with you,
which
that'd be
is why this
fantastic,
year we
okay?
thought of,
So,
doing
I'm gonna turn over here to Mr. Art.
permanent, getting.
Hello, my name is
quotations
Arturo
from different
Ibarra. I
people.
go by Art.
One
Makes
of
it
the
easier.
contractors
I'm
that
from
was
73 Crosby.
giving us a quote,
And,
mentioned these
I've been there
requirements that
for
we didn't know
almost a
about,
year
so
getting there.
good for him that he told us and
Hi,
started for
I'm Ruth
the,
Irwin. I live at
for this,
146
process,
Crosby Court.
with you.
I've lived here.
The reason we want to store our recreational vehicles under a.
And I'm Dave Faust.
closed
I
garage, but under
moved into 2204 Alton Lane, right on the
It's
corner of
just
Alton
to
and
maintain
Greenan,
them
a
in
year
well
and a half ago.
condition so that they don't get
Loving it over
humidity
there.
or damage,
And
snow.
particularly love mowing my lawn
weather
and taking in my
conditions.
daily crop of golf balls.
We also don't want.
So you
the-
guys
we
keep up
currently,
the fine work.
Store one to the side and one in front of the other.
Thank you.
garage,
And
so
quickly
we don't
to
really like
help
the appeal
introduce
of
this,
having them a
Art
little bit
is currently our vice
open to
president.
or visible to the
Ruth
public.
is currently our secretary.
we
Dave
want
is
to make
currently
sure
a
that,
director of the board.
things are
I'm
looking,
going to pass it over now to Mr. Mark Wazinski.
Nice and organized in our
All right,
house.
thanks for the introduction. I'm Mark Wazinski. I've been on the
Those are
board
our kind of
in
the
the
main,
past for
the
7
main
of
points for
the
it.
past 8
We
years.
do
I
have
am
a
not.
pool, that
I am not on the
is
board now,
towards the
but I
accessories.
am doing all the treasury
We
work
didn't open it
and
this
sort of
year.
I'm
We've always been
the
thinking
historian.
about,
Okay.
removing it, so we
on
would,
the board, so I try to
remove
keep
that, so
them
that wouldn't be part of
grounded
the
in what we've done in the past.
accessories,
So I'm at 259
the
Green Lane.
deviations that
Been
we're
there for about 8
requesting.
years.
And also, there's no,
Hello, my name
no
is
other
Ben Henry.
setback
I'm with the law
deviations
firm of
or
McCower,
variance
Abbott,
requested.
Guerra, Wagner, Vollmer.
looking around
Crosby,
properties
Stills,
around our,
Nash, Young.
our community.
We serve as general counsel for the association,
seems
so
there are a
I'm just here to
couple of
help
other
with
nearby
any procedural
properties,
issues or questions that may
that
come up
have,
with regard to documents, anything else the board asked me to
Exceeded
address.
the minimum floor area requirement.
My name's Rich
based
Muthart.
on,
I live on
dimensions
98
that we
Crosby,
were able to-
and I've
or
been there for
estimates that we
about
were
a year
able
and a
to
half.
do, with the zoning.
Yes, my name's Dave Kovaleski.
Maps.
I'm at 122 Crosby Court.
So we
and I've been
think
there
that
about 4
it's
years.
something that within our community, it's something that other
Hi, I'm
neighbors
Ivana Gori.
have
I'm
similar
at 201 Central
usages
Lane.
with,
I've been here
extra
for 12 years.
additional storage.
Hi, I'm Renee, and this is Dave Wilson. We're at 72 Greenan, and we've been there for 4 years.
Couple of questions. What is the total, do you know the total size of your ladders, the acre?
Good evening, I'm Ryan Doyle. I'm at
0.95.
119 Greenan. We closed in March.
And will the addition of the carport restrict any use or?
Hi, I'm
or interfere
Dave
with any
Knoll.
other
I'm at
addition on the
2155
property or
Craig
use
End
of the
Lane. I've been there
property?
about 4.5
No,
years.
no, it's a
move this down here a little bit
pretty
more, couple more
decent sized lot it's on the back of our house.
Robert Nan Griffith, we're at
So
107
there's-
Greenan,
it's just
4 years.
open space for us.
Ken Debus, 282 Greenan, 1 month and 2 days.
Yeah, I was
and
out there today
13
looking
hours.
at that. and, I see you got like a lean-to.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Anwar, and I
garage in
live
the back
at
there,
213
lean-to
Sand
roof.
Hills. I've been here for about a year.
Yeah. I mean,
In the
that's
back
all
of
over
the
here.
current detached garage?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank you again,
there's
folks, for the
that
introductions.
roof
It's
that was
important
there
as a
when we bought the
community, we
house for the
Dennis,
for
there
the
you go.
recreational vehicles to go
Oh, yeah,
under it.
it's quite an angle. That's
Yeah.
why I call it a lean-to roof. They're quite angled.
Yes, thank
I
you.
noticed you
My
had
wife Adrienne is with
beautiful
us as well.
pine trees all along the back.
Again, we're at 401 Greenan.
You know,
We've been there
back in
for
your
about
neighbors
2.5
on
years. So again, thank you for being here tonight.
east,
We'll
and then
continue on
also
with our,
towards Baldwin Road.
our meeting.
And then, on the south side, you've
as
got
we go through this here,
residential in there, too.
it's
Quite open on the other side.
Yeah,
But
There's a
where your
couple of
proposed
things here
thing would be,
that
they
are in
wouldn't-
front
they
of
wouldn't
you.
see that if
First
it's
of all,
right in
there's a
front.
copy of
Yeah,
packet. The first
One
thing
I
there
wanted to-
is the
Renee, to
agenda,
say this, is
which,
that you're meeting all the
give you a couple
front,
minutes to
side,
kind of
and
review
rear
that a
yard
little bit
setbacks.
and
You do
see what
not
we're going to be
lot coverage, you're
accomplishing
not
here this
exceeding
evening.
lot coverage.
And we'll give a couple minutes to
Two
look it over,
variances
please.
you're requesting is for accessory maximum floor area
correct.
of accessory buildings and all accessory buildings. And you are removing the pool if you're successful.
The next
with it.
here is
Yeah.
emailed to
Ways
you
down
also. You'll see in that packet is the
Yeah,
financial
the
packet as
total
well.
area, yeah, so
We'll
we
be going through that
accounted
here in a
for
little bit.
removing the pool in
Um,
the deviation
but at this
Those
point,
two boats you have sitting there, is that part of your equipment that you want to protect?
is there any additions
cover up?
or
Those
corrections
two are the ones that
to
we
the
want
minutes
to.
that you see there as
understand.
well?
I
So
assume-
in that packet, you've got your agenda, you got the finances, and you also have the minutes from last year. So the question is there any
All right, so
additions
I was just
or
curious about one of
corrections
the boats. Is it going to
in the
fit
minutes
within?
of
are
October
you-
3rd of '22?
Well, the two, one of them's almost a cigar boat, a longer one?
Yep.
Well, is that the one that you're trying to protect?
No, we're trying to protect both of them.
Seeing that there's none,
Okay.
can I have a motion from the floor to approve the minutes?
Requested here should allow for both of them to be side by side. Lengthwise,
We have a motion here?
they're not gonna fit
And do we have a second for that?
completely, But we're okay
Dave?
with keeping
Thank you,
like
sir.
the
Very
front
good.
part of the boat.
So, we'll move on with that. Fantastic.
Because then we would be covering the engines and the,
Yeah. So at this particular
internal
point, let's
compartment of
talk
the boat
about
itself.
our
That's
community
kind of
right
the
now.
area we
So
want
we're
protect
almost a
from
full
the,
house. We've got
snow,
85 units, 84 of them now
rain,
have been
because it's
occupied.
the open
There
area
is
of
one
the
that's
boat
still
that would
outstanding that was
be
supposed
more
to close
susceptible to moisture.
today.
So one
Unfortunately,
of
it's
your
been
driving
moved to
factors was
October
trying to
5th.
keep the line
With that
with
being
the other
said,
detached garage?
Once we get that
Yeah, and
last
also
house
try not
closed,
to get something too
that front
too
sign that I
excessive,
think we've
like
all been
if
kind of
it would
concerned
be
about
like
getting here, we're going to get that
full arch
removed.
as well
I think that's a
to-
big
to
concern
get
for a lot of
the-
people. So give
Thank you
that
for
a
explaining
little
that,
bit of
'cause
time
it
here, but
just
we're thinking October
dimensionally, it
5th or
didn't-
October
wasn't
6th, that
registering in
last
my
house
brain
Yeah.
how you were
closed.
going to cover it.
And right
but
there
thank you for
afterwards,
sharing.
we'll be
Yeah,
asking for
it
that last
wouldn't,
sign
yeah,
to
it
be.
wouldn't cover the whole boat.
So how did we get
One
here?
additional,
Right, so the board,
couple
you know,
additional
comprises
on
myself
that
and
one
Art,
there.
Ruth, and
It won't be
Dave.
any taller than the
How did we
house.
get here? I think it's kind of important that we give a little bit of a background and
Another one, I forgot what it was now.
a little bit of history.
Oh.
We had an
Strictly a
elected board
carport,
comprised
just a
of Mark
roof, no walls.
Brzezinski,
Just a roof, no what?
Open all the way around.
Sue
Open all the
Rada,
way around, yep.
Not
Ed
a-
Thompson,
Not considered a
and Scott Heck.
full enclosed structure.
However, in '22,
Yeah, I do have a question.
no other
now.
candidates volunteered in the board meeting. At that
How are
point,
you
Scott was
going to
elected as the
guarantee if
president.
it's open all
John
the
Walsh
way
had
around,
volunteered to be on the board.
that the roof stays
However,
where you
In
put
early
it
'23,
originally?
both Mr.
I mean,
Walsh
couldn't the
and
wind
Mr.
get
Heck
a hold of
were
it
looking to
and
move
take it off? How are you
residences,
going
which
to
left
be
the
sure
board
that,
looking for more volunteers?
you know, because in something I read, the concern
time,
was, other things you had looked at weren't
Myself,
substantial enough to
eventually Art
protect.
Ibera
Yeah.
volunteered
So,
and were appointed by the
So we were
board.
originally looking at carports,
Once
like
Scott Heck had
metallic
finally
steel type
moved,
of carports,
we had another
like,
vacancy.
Versatube
We were
is
fortunate
one
enough for
of the
Mr.
brands,
Dave
for
Faust to
example.
take part
So that
and join the board.
was our original
So
thought
that's our
process
history.
of what we would go with.
It's
Uh,
couple of
They
years
can-
here
they
that
have
we've been
different
asking for
ways of
volunteers, and
attachment
it's been a
to
little bit
the-
difficult
to
to
the
get.
ground.
But this particular board, I feel, has done a
We don't-
phenomenal
Will
job
those
this
supports
year.
be
Again, stepping up to take
anchored in
the role of
concrete?
responsibility in accomplishing the goals that we have.
I would say that
that's the important
depends
history that I
on
want you to understand how we
what,
got here,
Our,
okay?
and if it's allowed, depending on
So the
who
board has
we
accomplished a lot of things this
hire
year.
to do the building.
When I first came on board, which was in around January
together
of
itself.
'23,
Would that be a
mindset
requirement?
was, what can we do to keep the beautifications going? What can we do to hear residents'
Okay.
voices? What can we do to make sure that
And
we're
what you're
still
saying is you're gonna
keeping
have to,
the importance of
abide by the building
Turnberry? So we've been very busy as a board. We had to welcome in 8 new homeowners. And as you new homeowners will recognize, a lot of that is introductions, coming out and getting to know you a little bit, getting your key fobs, giving you
This
your
side
keys to
here,
your
it's gonna
mailboxes,
require a permit
making sure that
anyway,
you
right?
recognize the rules and regulations for your landscaping. And that has really been keeping us hopping quite frequently. We
Right, and
also
up until now,
were
you've had, in your
concerned about the
application, you
speed going
mentioned
through.
vandalism,
A lot of
so up
cars
until now,
going
you've
through there,
had
obviously
no
with new
issues.
No
tenants and new
issues, and
residences.
our community is great. We
Speed
have,
of the
we've been
vehicles
there
coming through
6
is a big
years. We
concern
haven't
for
had
us.
any
So
issues.
at one of the
It's
HOA
just
meetings that we had here
something
for
always kind
Oakland
of in the back of our
Township, they had
Okay.
suggested a
minds.
speed sign. So we incorporated that. And matter of fact, I think we were probably one of the first ones to get on that list, because as soon as we put that request in, it was there within the
Is
next
there
day.
anyone from the public
And it
to
was actually
comment
quite
on
helpful
this
for us,
particular
because I think it
case?
does twofold.
No? Okay.
One is it does let our
At this
residents
point,
know,
we'll-
listen, we're paying attention,
I'll,
right? We want to make sure that people are safe.
entertain a motion if
The
we're
homes are
ready.
close to the roads. We've got sometimes cars that are parked in the roads, and kids are running around. That's a concern. We have to make sure that we're being attentive to that. But it also gave us some idea that
All right, Mr. Neskis?
people have,
In the
are
matter
a
of
little bit
ZBA
above and
case
beyond the
AB
speed.
2023-29.
And I think it also brought some acknowledgement to them
Is
as
it
well.
Myra?
I myself
Yep.
have seen our speeds kind of
Martinez,
reduced, which is great.
4737
So I think it's
Meadowbrook
accomplished
Lane,
it.
Sidwell 09
Throughout the rest of the Orion Township, we've seen that same sign be put out at other locations, which is fantastic. So we took advantage of that opportunity that was offered to us.
Ordinance number 78, zoned
One of the first things that we did was
Article
we took the
27,
storage locker
Section
location and we moved it to
27.02.
another location. Doesn't mean
A8.
a lot, but it does give us a
One,
savings.
a 540
One of the things that we
foot
recognize if you have a
square foot
storage unit
variance
is
above
that the
the
cost
allowed
begins to
maximum
climb
floor
over and
area of
over,
detached
each
accessory
year.
buildings
But
of
for us to
900
make a
square
move to another
feet to
location
build a
was a little bit of a
720
savings. So
square
on a
foot
Saturday
carport,
afternoon, we closed
in
down to one
addition to a
location. We
720
moved it right down the road.
foot detached
That gave us an
garage,
opportunity
a
to start to
total
see that
of
savings. And the
1,440
things that are
square
stored
feet.
there is not very
Two,
much. It's our
a 540
holiday lights, right?
foot
There's a
square
couple boxes of
40
that.
square
There's some
foot
other
variance
holiday
from the
decorations.
allowed
We've got
maximum floor area,
our
all
garage
accessory
sale signs,
buildings.
things like that. So it's not a lot in there,
of
but again, it is
1,300
something that we have to,
square feet to build a
take
720
responsibility for and take
square
care
foot
of.
carport, in addition to the
We
existing
also organized a
720-foot detached garage and an
subdivision
existing
sale.
400
This
square
was something
foot
that was
attached
asked upon by the
garage,
residents.
for a
Again, we're
total
trying to
of
take into consideration what people are asking for.
1,840 square feet
And there have
be
been
granted for
requests,
plans
can we
date
have a
stamped
yard sale?
August
Can we have a
24th,
sub-sale?
2023.
So we figured the best way to do that
Because
is
the
really get as many
applicant
people as
did
we could
demonstrate that the
take
following
advantage of that,
standards
and that's
for
worked out really
variances
well.
have
I
been
think it
met
was
in this case.
fantastic for a couple of reasons. One is it helped people maybe move or sell some things in their house that they had to get rid of, which is always a big benefit. But the other part too is we had a chance to meet some neighbors that we didn't know. They came up and they said hi, and I live down the street, they live over here, and we've never met them in 2 years. And I think that was
Yeah, 'cause
a
I'm hearing that,
byproduct
too.
of having that event. But then also, I think it also gave us an opportunity to, really get community moving too with some conversations.
I've never heard that.
Hi, how are you? Yeah.
Meetings when we got a ZBA meeting. I mean,
Okay.
this is the second time it's happened when I've been an alternate.
Oh, has it?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they're doing over there with the sound is what's messing us up.
Do I need to repeat it for the minutes? Do I need to repeat it all for the minutes?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I apologize, but I am going to reread the motion. Okay. So in the matter of ZBA case AB 2023-29, Mayra Martinez, 4737 Meadowbrook Lane, Sidwell 09-31-476-012, I would move that the applicant's request for 2 variances from zoning ordinance 78, zoned R1, Article 27, Section 27.02A8. 1, a 540-square-foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of detached accessory buildings of 900 square feet to build a 720-square-foot carport in addition to a 720-square-foot detached garage for a total of 1,440 square feet. And 2, a 540-square-foot variance above the allowed maximum floor area of all accessory buildings of 900 square feet to build a 720-square-foot carport in addition to a 720-square-foot detached garage for a total of 1,440 square feet. I'm sorry, I read up on that, excuse me. Detached for a total of 1,840 square feet. Be granted for plans date stamped August 24th, 2023, because the applicant did demonstrate that the following standards for variance have been met in this case, and that they set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulty. That the property, the current buildings do not allow for the proper storage and care of accessories and additional equipment, and it is required to have something with a cover on top. They are proposing an open carport without sides on it, just to protect the equipment that they have. The exceptional circumstances that apply to this that do not generally apply to other properties in the area, that the current storage space is limited, that there are several additional pieces of equipment that need storage, and this will solve that problem without adding a full structure to the property. It is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right by the property in the same zone of vicinity based on the following facts, that in order to keep that equipment in use, you have to store it properly and keep it away from weathering conditions. The granting of the variance or modification will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or to improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located. It will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property. It will not unreasonably increase congestion in public streets. It will not increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. It will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the area, or in any other respect impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the township.
I'll second the motion if the motion maker would consider amending the motion to include the removal of the above-ground pool in this.
I accept that, thank you.
I'll second it.
It's been motioned by Mr. Naskis and seconded by Mr. Flood. Call the roll, please, Mr. Naskis.
Diane Danaskis, yes. Mike Flood.
Yes.
Don Walker.
Yes.
Joanne Mantasso.
Yes.
Tony Cook.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so you've been granted your request, and so the best bet is to contact the building department, and then they'll give you instructions on where you go from here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am, thank
Have
you.
a good night.
All right, our next case is AB 2023-30, Andrew Russo / Baca Systems, 101 Premier Drive, Sidwell number 0935451-001. The applicant is seeking to extend the expiration of the following variance for 1 year. Article 27, Section 18.03, I-12. Number one, a variance to allow for a covered trash receptacle, i.e. dumpster, to be located in the side yard north rather than the required rear yard. Number two, a variance to omit the required masonry brick type walls and opaque lockable gate around the covered trash receptacle. Article Article 27, Section 27.19, B 2, 3, and 4. Number 3, a variance to allow accessory/outdoor storage to be located in the side yard east rather than the required rear yard. And the fourth variance is a variance to omit the required 8-foot chain link fencing and screening around the accessory /outdoor storage. How you doing, sir?
Good.
You here to
Hi.
speak to this matter?
I am Andrew Russo. Address is 101 Premier Drive, Orion Township, Michigan.
Well, what's your name again, please?
Andrew Russo.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, my concern right off the bat, Mr. Russo, is this says you want to extend the expiration date. And as I look back in the minutes, you originally were here on the 22nd of 22.
Yep.
So takes us to August 22nd of 23. So an extension is not something that would be applicable in this case. It's literally would be a new one because that one expired.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can do this was the first one that we could get on the, with like the schedule to schedule them at.
Gotcha.
But we can do it as a new application. That's fine. I think the fees we still had to pay the $500 fee again, so we're happy to go through whatever process is required.
You're fine. I just wanted to point that piece out there. But let me look at something here that may alleviate all of that. Yeah. Your date stamped the 28th of August, so, yeah. So at this point, I would like this to go ahead, but just to understand that we're going to get some new questions on it because this is not an extension, because that was a 1 year. Okay? All right. So, all right, if you state your case for us, kind of as if none of us ever heard it before, please.
Okay. Can I share my screen? Is that fine?
You can. Yes, sir. Not sure how to do it, but-
What does the cord say on there?
Podium HDMI.
There you go, hit the podium one.
Okay. Let's see here. Yep.
Okay. Does it show up for you guys? Is it showing?
We had it a minute ago.
Yeah, it was here a second, and then I'm going to start and restart it, stop and restart it.
Take back that praise.
Next thing, we're gonna have the Dragon Room presenting in here.
Let's see. That one.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
It's for the dance that's going to be later.
So much for artificial intelligence.
AI is a gimmick, I'm promising.
It is. Go ahead, sir. I'm not going to delay you.
Okay.
You got up there.
Yep.
Man, that's blinding.
Yeah. It just won't go off.
Should I go? Or-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Turn around and you'll see what's blinding us.
I see, that's why I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
okay waiting if you
I'm
want to
going like
wait.
this,
Yeah, here. We'll just do this. We'll start.
That's really bright.
even with my,
Like being at a Taylor Swift concert.
there you go, you got that light off. Thank you, Tony.
All right, here we go. We'll start over. All those fails, push restart.
Just leave it like that.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So this started out like 1 year ago, when we went through the process before. I know we're doing it as a new one for this instead of a renewal, but that's just backstory of what we had 1 year ago, was we went to make sure that we were in compliance with the requirements. And we were intending last year to be moving into and building a new building, which was gonna be on Brown Road. We still own that property as a company. However, due to changing business and I don't want to say downturn, but the business growth that we were tracking with didn't tend to where we thought it was going to. So right now that's kind of on the back burner in terms of delayed. So we still own the additional property next to the ESIS building that just got finished. Was JR Automation next to that building, but we were planning on starting to build next to it, and that's kind of delayed right now, but that was last year. But looking at what we have today in terms of why we need the variances, this is the entire, lot plan. And with the lot plan, there is no actual rear place to have dumpsters as a whole. So there is no actual backyard of the building because there's a hill and there's the, I don't know if it's DT or the ITC, the large power transmission lines that run along the back. So there's no way to even have the dumpsters on the back. Along with the building is effectively has roads on two sides. So the front could be viewed as Premier Drive, which is where most of the building faces, but you also have Lapeer Road. So depending on which way you're viewing it from, the most, I would say, hidden side is effectively the rightmost side of the building, which is the east side. And that's where we have the dumpsters. So the dumpsters are right here on the side of the building. And this is the plans from last year. And then this is all a fire lane. We just had the parking lot restriped, so they're still having a repave sealed. So they're still having to come back to finish their striping. Back over the area to put it back to with the fire lane. And then the storage is on the side right here. Practically, there really wasn't a way to put a fence around the dumpsters and the compactor. One, because if you put a giant masonry wall, there's no way to have it really temporary, because once you construct a wall, the wall becomes a permanent structure of it. The other thing is that realistically, the wall becomes much wider, and then there's issues with the fire encroaching into the fire access to the FDC, because to have the garbage truck be able to back in between the dumpster and the wall to pull out the dumpsters to change it, they would have to effectively, it'd have to be so much wider that it's impossible. So that's kind of the overall situation. I took a picture of what it was like when I just left the building today, showing what's there, just for reference of what it currently looks like. So that's the current state, and you can see in the back where there is no reasonable way to do. This is a very old Google map from like, I'm gonna guess 2012 maybe. But you can see the back, there's power lines, and it's a hill effectively behind the building. But this was a picture before we had even moved into the building. So. You're welcome.
So when I was out there, there was an additional dumpster that was there that I noticed you don't have in the picture today.
Yeah, they just picked it up today.
They pick it up.
Yeah, so we were throwing away a bunch of trash from inside, so they just picked it up. It was a small, I think like a 10-yard dumpster, and they just had picked it up.
Okay, so that's not a
That's out of,
regular occurrence.
yeah, that was just when we had extra stuff, the waste company, Republic Waste, didn't want us to put it in the big dumpster because it was heavier stone and concrete, and they asked to have it in a smaller one because there was issues with the weight limits on the road.
I do, but I will defer to members of the ZBA first.
I want to hear your comments first, Joanne. Go ahead.
Okay. It is my understanding that BACA was not the company that occupied this building originally. Is that correct?
Correct. So the history of the building was Sudan was a plastic injection molding company. They were there, I believe, till roughly 2017-ish. They, I believe, went out of business completely. The property, Acme Manufacturing, had wanted to expand into that building, so they had Fram Management purchase the building. They were leasing it. Then they weren't using the whole building, so we started subleasing part of the front and the majority of the manufacturing space. I believe that was in like 2018 or 19. And then, as of, I believe, 2021, we became the primary tenant in the building, but it's currently owned by Fram Management.
Okay. What does BACA do, build, or, what's going on in that building?
Yeah, we do robotic machinery for the stone industry. So we are a.
Robotic machinery for
For the stone industry. So like.
building industry.
Yeah, so you have like a kitchen countertop and you want it to get a new kitchen countertop. So when you go to like Home Depot or the granite store, you'd go and you'd pick out a slab of stone, which is effectively a big 10 by 12 piece of stone, but you've got a kitchen that's an L and all the shapes. So what we do is we make the machinery that the countertop companies that are local across the US use to take that big piece of stone and cut it into small pieces that fit your kitchen.
Okay. What is the machine that you've got sort of on a pedestal up near what looks to be the front door?
Yeah, so that's one of the machines that we build. So they're, that's pretty much the model of what we build.
Okay. Because driving by and not getting up close, it looked like a backhoe. The way it was sitting there, just curious.
No backhoes. Not a construction machinery company yet. Might go into new business ventures. It could help fund the
Okay,
other building.
so you are not selling the slabs of granite or whatever,
No.
but you have a bunch of them stored there.
Yeah, so we build the machinery and we do research and development. So to be able to test machinery to do all of our innovation stuff, we end up getting the slabs. So a lot of the slabs they're not damaged, but they are either bad quality ones, like that have scratches, so that aren't good for.
So they're practice slabs.
Effectively, yeah.
Okay.
They're practice slabs that we cut and then we just haul away.
Okay, in reading the minutes of when you were here a year ago, you indicated that you had property, but now it appears that you don't have property for a new building. What happened?
So we do have the property. It's still owned by the parent company of Baca Systems, my parents actually. So we still have the property, but the business economic environment of between last year to now has changed, where we were growing at a pretty rapid pace where we believed that we were going to need a different building. So we had purchased the property there next to what's now the JR building, and we were intending to build. But once we kind of got right into about November to December, the business climate changed rapidly, with a lot of uncertainty from our customers, which led to a decrease of orders.
Yep.
And we decided that financially, while we could try and go build the building and move in there, it's not a great idea to have a building and not have a business versus have a business and be in a building where we're just crammed. It's kind of a battle. And I think we made the right decision as a company where we're at today. A year from now, it might be a different environment, but where we're at today, it was probably the right decision.
Okay, and as I understand, based on what I read in the minutes, the property you have is on the north side of Brown Road between Giddings and Joslin. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Directly across from the Gidding,
Yeah,
or Atlantic Boulevard, where that intersection is, it's pretty much directly
Yep.
across.
So your intention still is, in Lord willing and business willing, in a year to build the building?
Our goal is ultimately to be in the right building that fits us. As of right now, where we're at today, financially, it does not make sense to build the other building where it stands today, because the cost of what we have is our rent and lease today. If we compare that to if we were to build the brand new building, it would effectively 2x what we have as our overhead for square foot or for the building. And from a financial standpoint, we would be it would not be a good spot with us. So it might be a year. It could honestly be 2 years. It's hard for me to have an exact one, but ultimately, once we need this space and financially it makes sense, that's when we would move.
My only concern is that if we give you this extension, will you be back in another year asking for another extension?
Honestly, I don't want to say yes or no. I don't have an answer for that. Like, if we are able to build a building and financially have that make sense, we're going to do that. We have land there. It's just a matter of having it financially be viable. So I don't want to tell you no and then show up in a year and you're like, well, I told you so. As honest and authentic as I can be, we're going to do what's right to keep our employees employed, stay in Lorraine Township, and thrive as a business.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Flood?
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes.
how many employees do you have at your,
Right now, I think we're at about 76 employees.
76?
Yeah, so they don't all work in person. A good majority do work in person, but we have machines across the US. So there's some that are technicians, which live like in Florida in different states, and they travel almost every week. So they fly out Monday to a customer site and then fly back. So for some of them, they're remote, but roughly we have like 40 to 50 that are in person every day.
One thing for the record, I'll point out, is that what you're asking is for a renewal on what our motion was last year on that. That's a finding of facts that, as far as the minutes go from last year. One thing I want to go on record is the practical difficulty in Orion Township Zoning Board of Appeals, financial money does not come in to granting a variance whatsoever. Nothing to do with finances or money. I know during COVID, there were some problems because people couldn't get material and couldn't get the labor and blah, blah, blah. In this case, they're making a business decision. It was probably smart on their part not to build a place if their business has gone down. However, we have, I think this Zoning Board of Appeals was more than generous a year ago when we tried to help the petitioner out, because there's jobs there. And he was quite adamant that they wanted to build down the road and this would be temporary. Now, understand also that this was a planning commission site plan that was approved for this business. But they had to deny what we had to take care of here. Now, my question to the Planning and Zoning Department today was, if this gets denied, does that go back to the Planning Commission? Because this site plan is not in, and I don't want to see them close down a business and get rid of 76 employees. These are the variables we're talking about here.
The one thing with the financial side, like, we're happy if it's required, we can try and go build walls around the dumpster to have it be more in compliance. But from a realistic standpoint, I think then the fire marshal will probably need to figure out with them what physically could work. We are happy to go financially support that. From the standpoint of building a separate building and like moving, I think that's maybe different from considering that as the financial hardship compared to we are happy to spend the money. I don't think there's any way for us to physically put the dumpsters or anything in the rear of the building.
I understand completely. That whole area is that way over there. Right now, you have a dumpster with an enclosure on the side back of that property right now. You showed it in your picture.
Yeah.
Right. What your problem is, you've got that compactor next to it. That is what's considered also a trash receptacle.
Yes.
Now, I know a fact, they had to take one of your building up there in Premier, they had to take the compactor out because it caught on fire. You don't want those inside of a building. Usually you put them in a well. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to play hardball here or nothing.
Yeah.
But also, we let you do the outdoor storage because your building's not big enough for what you're doing. So. Ms. Fantasil,
One of the things I would grant him a variance on at the drop of a hat is no enclosure around the dumpster stuff, because you got a fire hydrant right next to it. And that wall could get in, a wall around a dumpster is less important as far as I'm concerned than having ready access to that fire hydrant, should the need be, whether for your building or your neighbor to the east. And, quite frankly, when this area, if it is a plat, and I wasn't able to check out to see whether this was platted. I got a feeling that it was. The property on the north side of Premier Drive, and this was done by Ajax, and the road was put in to make it easier for Ajax to get up to the asphalt plant at the top of the hill. Every single building on the north side is wider than it is deep, which is not generally the norm. The properties on the south side are on flatter property, and they don't have the physical land constraints that the properties on the north do. And in driving by the other day, I noticed, oh, we've got loading docks that face to the front of the street, and oh, the doors are open and it looks like the devil. But what can you do? And, but the one thing I would grant you in a heartbeat is no enclosure around the dumpster stuff because of the fire hydrant. And your picture that you showed, the photo, didn't clearly show or go back and really show them the fire hydrant that's there, but it's there. I mean, that thing stuck out like a sore thumb when and I didn't even drive back there. I mean, I just went through your parking lot, and but you can see it. I mean, it lines up with the trunk of a tree back in.
Right there.
Yeah.
And then the FDC's on the wall, across from it. So if they needed to come back, they'd back a pumper straight in, connect to the hydrant and connect to the building to extra pressurize.
Okay.
And the wood slats you see there, that's their enclosed area for their site dumpster, the original on that property.
Well,
It's that compactor right beside you, you're looking at that.
But even the one that was put here, which I was not involved in the site plans originally of it, but I believe the ordinance also says it has to be in the rear, like not hidden, is hidden in the word, but like it should be behind the building, not just even, because this, I guess, is still considered side. So even that, I'm not sure. But like you were saying, Ajax was the original one who built Premier.
Yep.
Then started to try and sell off the property, and then they finished Brown Road. Thank everyone for that happening, because Brown Road connecting to Dutton is, it's a nice thing. So then now that became the private drive of Premier Business Park.
That dumpster you see back there with the gate on it, that's the original site plan when they built that building. Because you couldn't put one in the back. And all along Premier Drive there, we've had a couple other ones where we had to put them on the side.
well, I don't
because
know.
of the-
I don't know where that gate that he's showing her.
That's your dumpster.
Yep, I see that. It was not there when I drove by. I guarantee you that.
It's still there.
It was there, but
No, you got a green dumpster in there.
or there's no dumpster in there. We can't fit
They were
realistically.
storing stuff in there when I was
There's
there.
just some pallets in there. There's nothing that, for us, if we had a dumpster in there, like a normal dumpster, we would be filling that up realistically just about every day to every other day, because we get so much in cardboard and in miscellaneous, like the foam packaging for all the robotic parts, that they'd be coming to pick it up on a daily basis. And the other problem that we have is that heavy things can't go in it, because the dumpsters with the lift arms, it gets too heavy, and then Republic Waste is not happy because they can't lift it up. So they need the rollback to be able to winch it onto like the rollback, I guess.
That blue object you see right there, that's an enclosed dumpster, right there.
This.
That's an enclosure, and that's what you use your compactor. You use a compactor in there, right?
This,
Yeah. Or is that an open top? That right there, that blue right there. What is
that's
that?
an open top, and behind it's the compact. So they're just,
It's a compactor, yep.
yeah, so they're stacked. There's two of them. They're stacked
And
right.
this is what they're talking about, they want enclosed, right here.
Yeah, this is what it's talking about enclosing,
It doesn't
but
make any sense.
Well, to meet the code, to meet the ordinance, that's, I know what you're doing. Then you see all the outdoor storage along
Don't
here?
get me started on that one.
You see all the outdoor storage along here?
Yeah.
That was part of your approved variance too, right there. I just want to explain what's apples and oranges here.
yeah, so that was what was there, with it.
Oh, got another question.
Ms. Fantasso?
What kind of a lease agreement do you have with Fram?
Right now, we are, I believe, beginning of next year, So it's a year, I think we're on the last part of, we took over from Acme Manufacturing, so we ended up
Yep.
going from a sublease to now we're direct. And then we have the extra building that they're now in, that's in Auburn Hills, they are leasing from us. It's kind of a complicated mess, to be completely honest there, but with Fram, I believe that this upcoming year, we're going to have our last, or I think there's one last, option. I'm not an expert in leasing, but I think it's like an option where we can choose to stay for, or we can choose to take over an additional, I think it's a 2 or 3 year extension to it with them. And we, at that point, still could sublease it out if we move before that. But I think it's sometime in the beginning of next year or middle that we have to either say, hey, we're going to exercise the option or leave it. But even if we exercise, I believe that we can still sublease the building out if we decide to move
Okay,
sooner.
thank you.
Mr. Pester.
Mr. Flood.
Just a point of technicality to bring the board members and the public up. Our ordinance regarding renewals for the ZBA were amended, and they are in effect right now, where administratively from now on, the Planning and Zoning Department can grant a 1-year extension on any variances. After that, then they have to come to the ZBA for any further than 1 year. In this case here, because this is such a unique one, is that the Planning and Zoning Department felt that ZBA should be making the call on this instead of the administration. They didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Where in the ordinance does it say that?
You go look in the ordinance, they just got updated. They've all been updated, it's all been published in the paper. That may not be an updated one.
Well, this is what I printed off the Orient Township website this morning.
I can't tell you if the website's updated. It may not be, but it was published in the newspaper, everything was done legally. I'm just telling you a matter of fact.
Well,
Joanne, that website now be updated. Who's ever in charge of that?
Laws.
Anyway, just want to make a point on that. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
If there's anybody from the public.
Okay. Now, is there anyone here from the public to speak to this matter?
You sure?
Okay. All right, Mr. Flood?
I'll make a motion and see how it goes. Let's see here. Let me get my paperwork started here. I want to make sure the grantor knows too, that if this gets approved for a 1-year extension, it starts on August 22nd, because that was your first one was originally approved. So you're already over a month already into the new 1 year, if that's the case.
Yeah, could I make one just comment realistically looking at it? If we are looking at, like, I mean, I could say with pretty high certainty, we're not gonna be, from a financial standpoint, I mean, I'm not in the accounting department at all, but I don't foresee us starting the other building project in this calendar year being like till the end of December. I don't foresee that as I'd put it at less than a 5% likelihood. So realistically, there's no way that we would be moved out of there's no way to build a building, say that we did hypothetically start January 1st, and that would be like still maybe a 6% likelihood. Then at the end of the year, 1 year, I know we'll be back within a year because you can't build a building at all within physically a year. Like 1 year to build a building is not realistic. I just want to throw it.
One more thing before I make my motion. What, have you done a pre-app plan with the Planning and Zoning Department? Have you showed them any basic site plan? Which you'd have to do first before you get a building permit, right, Dave?
Yeah, but once you pull that building permit, you don't have to worry about the extension anymore.
But doesn't he have to have his pre-app and his site plan approved before you pull a building permit?
But once a building permit's pulled,
But I'm saying, you gotta do this other step first.
yeah.
But
And my
both
understanding from
buildings
Planning
are
and Zoning,
separate, though.
they've never even talked to Planning and Zoning for a pre-app or a possible site plan.
Well,
On the property that they currently own on Brown Road.
just to verify what you're saying, I asked today if they have site plan approval on the new site. No, they haven't even applied for site plan approval yet.
That's the pre-app.
Well, no, it's not, there's a difference. You're talking to somebody who sat on the planning commission for a number of years
Step
here.
one's a pre-app, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
The pre-app is free, and that has,
Go ahead and make,
Okay.
one second. The applicant had a,
I was just gonna say that I don't think it would make sense to try and link the two, because just even if we opened like the building permit stuff with the other building, that doesn't change that we have to be still in compliance with the 101 Premier site. Like they both have to be in compliance, so either it's active or not, like the opening a building permit, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but.
yeah, just, I don't think anybody on the board is trying to link the two buildings.
Okay.
What they're doing is they're saying, what's the likelihood of you being back here for a third extension of this? And it's highly likely.
Highly
based
likely.
upon the discussion.
Okay.
Heard make a motion? Yes, sir. All right. In the matter of ZBA case AB 2023-30, Andrew Russo, correct? BACA, B-A-C-A Systems, 101 Premier Drive, Sidwell number 09-35, 451-001. I move that the petitioner's request to extend the expiration date of the variances granted for AB 2022-34 on August 22nd, 2022 be granted for 1 year, expiring on August 22nd, 2024. Because petitioner did demonstrate the following standards for extension have been met in this case, and set forth facts which show that he is in the same position he was when we granted the variances a year ago. And his practical difficulty is the fire hydrant and the fire marshal having access to that emergency FDC to hook the hoses up. And with the condition that this variance does not go with the land, it goes with this specific BAC systems on this building. That condition on that motion. That's my motion.
It's been motioned. Is there support?
I will support, but then I have a comment. And my comment is, in the cover memo we've got is the report from staff. The extension language was advertised to the public. As a reminder, due to the language being advertised, the ZBA may lessen the duration of the extension request, but cannot grant more than what was requested. And this is a suggestion to the applicant. If business conditions are such that, say, 9 months from now, you see that you're not going to have a new building to move into and that you're going to be continuing here, when you come in and apply for an extension of the variance, I suggest you strongly consider asking for an extension until you no longer occupy the property. That would prevent you from coming back year after year and for the ZBA going through the same thing year after year after year.
All right, Ms. Fantasia, we have a motion on the floor. So.
Can you second it, Joanne?
I seconded it.
Okay, so, all right, so it's been motioned by Mr. Flood and seconded by Ms. Van Tassel. Mr. Naskis, can you call the roll, please?
Jan Van Tassel?
Yes.
Diane Danaskis, yes. Mike Flood?
Yes.
Don Walker?
Yes.
Tony Cook?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you need the signed paper from the tenant or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like I say, you understand this goes with you as the leasee, not the building itself.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. All right, our next case is AB 202331 Studio 515 LLC, Jeff Nichols, 740 King Circle, Sidwell 0910278017. The applicant is seeking two variances from zoning ordinance number 78, zoned R3, Article Section 6.04, number 1, a 29.4-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to bring an attached garage behind the property line .6 feet along King Circle. Number 2, a 23.2% lot coverage variance above the allowed 25% for a total lot coverage of 48.2%. Mr. Nichols, you're here to speak to this?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Jeffrey Nickel. I am from Studio 515. I am the architect who is currently working with Pam and Brian O'Million, who live at 740 King Circle. Pam and Brian cannot be here, but they expressed their intent that I would speak on their behalf. Brian and Pam have lived in Lake Orion or on the lake most of their life. Brian grew up on the north side, specifically across. They previously lived a house.
I'm just going to stop you for one moment. Do you have something from them in writing that says that you can speak to them, or text message or anything that I can read?
It's in the application.
It's in the application? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And they used to live in a house on Bellevue and recently purchased this house to move and kind of downsize and things like that. The two variances we are looking for are related to a house that was originally built in 1915, well before these variances were put into place. Then sometime, I am not sure when, a garage was placed on the front yard or street side set part of the property. Upon getting a survey, we noticed that this garage is currently over the existing property line. So as part of this renovation that we are proposing, we are rebuilding the front of the garage. Basically, we're moving the garage back 1.5 feet to make it 0.6 feet over the property line. This is a practicality because the garage is actually only 19 feet now, which limits obviously larger SUVs and things like that. We are then putting a garage onto the east side of the property that would, triggers the change in the lot coverage and that variance. This addition is approximately 19 by 13'6" wide.
I know, I believe, well, just want to verify, you're currently over the lot line, and you said over the lot line, you meant behind the lot line.
No, we are actually in the public right-of-way.
No, I understand that, but in your statement, you said over. Because you're moving back is what you're.
Yeah, yes, sorry.
Okay.
We're moving back
All right.
inside the property line in that premise.
So part of the reason that this has possibly happened is because it's an old house written before a lot of the ordinances were in place.
The current lot is about 60% of the minimum lot size that it's supposed to be for R3. It's one of those narrow lots on the south side of the lake. And then also the width of the lot is narrower as well. It's supposed to be minimum 50 and we're only 40. So it's a small lot as many of the properties right there along King Circle are. So that's where the larger lot coverage comes, just because the house has been there for a number of years.
Do the owners currently live in the property?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So, what are they going to do for a run area? Because right now, the front of the house is where it looks like there's a dog run.
Yep.
So where's that going to move to?
So basically, what's going to happen is the area that is currently the dog run is the addition for the garage.
Yes.
And then along the side of the garage, if you ran by the house, there's a existing chimney and front door. That is going to be the new front door. So there's going to be pavers or something along that going up to there. They currently do not have any parking on their site either. They are actually parking across the street in kind of a municipal neighborhood lot. So that's what's going to happen there. And then the rest of the house, we're putting some dormers on to get some additional square footage and things like that. And then reworking the kitchen and fun things like that on the inside.
So where's the dog run gonna be?
The dog run is going to be in the back. Basically, the whole lakeside has been, right now, it's a walkout, but it's only a walkout to an area like this big, and then it goes up. So that's all been pushed out, and the dog run's gonna be in the back on the lakeside.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Flood?
Yeah, to me, this is not self-created. The existing house and garage was there. Who knows how long ago that thing was built? I noticed too, the dog poop needs to be cleaned up. They got, looks like you got, what do you got?
AstroTurf.
AstroTurf sitting there, yeah. Anyway, I just make light of it.
Yep.
I did the math on the 0.6 feet, and you're gonna be about 7.2 inches.
Yep.
Back on the property.
Yep,
Where it belongs.
we were playing with the surveyor on that
Yeah.
premise when we got there, and we want to make it still as much of a usable garage as they can to get their vehicles out of that parking lot.
Yeah, the only setback you're requesting is the front, because you got an existing garage that's over the lot line. You want to move it back.
Yes.
Which is good. And your side setbacks, there's no, you're not asking for any of that.
No.
You're asking for a little bit more on lot coverage.
Yes, currently, we're at like 44%-ish or so with that. It's approximately 250 square feet of additional garage space that makes it the 44, but then obviously, it's still a overage per the variance.
And these lake lots are really unique because you're looking at yours, you're only 40 feet wide. And then, I can't see what the depth on here is, but I think it's a great improvement, moving the garage back off the road right away and getting it back off a little bit there.
Anyone from the public? No? No? Okay. All right. Any other questions, or you can entertain a motion at this point?
I can make a motion.
Okay. Ms. Danaskis?
In the matter of ZBA case AB 2023-31, yes, Studio 515 LLC, Jeffrey Nickel, 740 King Circle, Sidwell 09-10-278-017. I would move that the applicant's request for two variances from zoning ordinance 78 zoned R3, Article 6, Section 6.04. 1, a 29.4-foot front yard setback variance from the required 30 feet to bring an attached garage behind the property line, 0.6 feet along King Circle. And 2, a 23.2% lot coverage variance above the allowed 25% for a total lot coverage of 48.2%. Be granted for plans date stamped August 30, 2023, because the applicant did demonstrate that the following standards for variances have been met in this case, and they've set forth facts which show that in this case, the petitioner does show the following practical difficulty. This home was purchased by the current applicant in its existing location and condition. It was built prior to when many of the existing zoning ordinances were in effect, and therefore it currently violates many of those ordinances. This would actually make him some improvement to ordinance, satisfying the ordinance by bringing the garage back from the property line so that it's not intruding into King Circle. And it will not interfere with any other variances for setbacks. The following are exceptional, extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property. Once again, this is a very small lot, even smaller than most of these ordinances were designed for. And there is no other way to accomplish what needs to be accomplished for this property. They are going to try and build up as well to increase the space available in the house. Variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right possessed by the other properties in the same zone based on the following facts, that this is very common, particularly in this strip of this street, that these lots are very tiny, very narrow, and it's very difficult to build and stay within some of those ordinances. The granting of the variance or modification will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or materially injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or district in which the property is located. It will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to the adjacent property. It will not unreasonably increase congestion in public streets. It will not increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. It will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area, or in any other respect impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the township.
Support.
Don?
It's been motioned by Mr. Naskis and supported by Mr. Walker. Mr. Naskis, can you call the roll, please?
Don Walker?
Yes.
Joanne Van Tassel?
Yes.
Diane Danaskus, yes. Mike Flood?
Yes.
Tony Cook?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm jealous of your printing, by the way. I don't think he heard me. All right. In this case, do we have any communications any public comments at all? Open forum, 2 minutes to tell us how much you like us or don't. Okay. All right, thank you, guys.
He's like us today. Last week, not so much.
Not so much. Okay. All right, communication, so.
Yep. Mr. Vice Chair,
Mr. Walker,
notice that
or Flood?
the zoning board of appeals for October 9th has been canceled due to a lack of agenda items. And also, Lynn had it in our packet, as of today, we do not have any cases for October 23rd. Waiting to see to cancel until after tonight's meeting in the event one of the cases for tonight is postponed, which it was not. So Lynn will be posting that the October 23rd meeting will be canceled as well. And that's another one that got changed, where administratively they can cancel the meetings and have things on their agenda. Before, we remember, they used to have to make motions and
Yes.
support it. And,
Yes. Okay, so that was, you said the 9th.
That's the communications I have on that.
9th and the 23rd, you said?
Yeah. The whole month of October,
Yep.
there's no cases.
Good deal. All right. So, committee-wise, did you want to talk about that, the training?
Yep, yeah, Lynn left it in my billywhack too. I passed out the sheet tonight with from the board agenda, it was at your packets. And, I'll just say what the motion said. It moved to approve the training strategy as presented and authorized distribution of the plan to the Corridor Improvement Authority, Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and to be published on the township's website. Information to start January 1st. And if you look in your board packet, I think it has it in there, hours of training per year. And you can do it by computer, you can do it by going to conferences. Our joint meeting also qualifies for that. Any questions on that, contact the Planning and Zoning Department. They'll lead you through it.
Ms. Van Tassel?
I have gone so far as to suggest to staff that whenever there is a date that would normally be a BZA meeting and it's canceled because of a lack of agenda items, that it be converted into a training session, and so everybody can be trained at the same time, and so.
That's a good.
idea.
And the other thing I was told was that you can count hours if you go to a planning and zoning conference type thing, that all those hours can count too. And as someone who has attended a number of planning and zoning conferences, they are well worth the time, and you pick up a lot of good stuff, and you meet a lot of interesting people, and I always found them very worthwhile. So they'd even let me, as an alternate, attend one of these planning conferences, so.
You're entitled to that. Yep, also along with what Joanne just said, planning, Michigan Township Association, annual conference, education, everyone is entitled to that too. They cover a lot of that spectrum too.
Planning and zoning meets in interesting places more than, the township tends, because of the size and the number of townships attending, they have to go to big venues like Grand Rapids or Detroit in order to house
Traverse City.
everybody. With planning, they don't have as many because most of the smaller townships don't come. And you also have the city folk who come to the planning conferences, and so ended up at Boynes Island or,
Mission Point on Mackinac Island, been there.
yeah, we've been there, and been up to
Bring your
the
golf-
Bear at Grand Traverse, and,
Bring your golf clubs, all right? Depending on time of year.
well, they did have a pre-conference golf tournament
Yeah.
that year that was up there, and I was with the village at that time, but,
And those fees are not covered by the township, just so you
Yeah.
know.
The golf fees are, no,
That's-
forget that.
that's right.
Okay, so, thank you, guys. Any additional committee reports? All right, member comments, Mr. Naskis?
No, thank you.
All right, Ms. Fantasil?
no,
Mr. Floyd?
Nope.
Mr. Walker?
Sure.
All right.
My 3 times a year report on the book sale at the library. I don't recall seeing any of you there, just saying. But we had, in spite of that, we had another very successful sale. And we cleared $6,000 for that library at the sale, so it was a good one. So thank all of you who are, the thousands of people out there in the TV audience that did buy books. So thank you. And you folks, if you haven't come next time in January. Especially if you want another bear. No.
Ms. Fantasil?
if I might, got a question for Mr. Walker. It is my understanding, and maybe my understanding is all wrong, that after you close up the sale on Saturday at around noon, 1 o'clock,
1:30.
and you pack up everything, that is given to some organization that takes all the books, and or do you sell this stuff?
We hope to give them away. We don't, it's difficult to find organizations, especially since COVID, to take the amount of books. St. Vincent de Paul used to take a lot of them. The Salvation Army used to take a lot of them. But it's hard, but we give them away on the premise that if they've gone through our sale here for 50 cents or $1 and nobody bought it, it's not, if we put it back out again, no one's gonna buy it again either. So we just try to get books into the hands of people that will read them.
The reason I bring it up is because at church on Sunday, one of the members works over at the Clarkston Library, and they have people that come into their books, and they've got this little, like, device, and they can go and scan the book and tell them what the price is, and they decide whether to buy it for 50 cents or $1 because they know they can take it back to their store and sell it for $3.95, and
If you want to be amazed, Joanne, on Tuesday, the first day of the sale, is when those booksellers come in the morning. And you have to get out of the way of these people because you'll be stampeded.
okay,
They line up-
just as long as you're onto that, is the
yeah.
Orion Library, or the Friends are taking
we-
advantage of that, okay,
yeah.
okay, I just,
And they have these little things, and they scan, and there must be something, we tried one time to hire a millennial to look at those books and estimate value for us.
Yeah.
That became a nightmare. So, but these people are crazy. Somebody bought, one of the sellers bought 800 books
Wow.
Tuesday morning.
Avid reader.
Well, I have a bookseller.
And
There must be
it
money in
didn't
it.
make a noticeable dent in your supply.
We had, I think we had 14,000 books this year, this sale. 'Cause we resell the same one so many times. But at 50 cents a piece, pretty good deal.
All right.
I move to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion adjourned, meeting adjourned at 8:17.